Hello, and thank you, Ritu, for your kind introduction. This is Kevin Benedict, Head SMAC Analyst with Cognizant. SMAC stands for Social, Mobile, Analytics, and Cloud. And I want to thank the team from Unvired for inviting me to participate today. We're going to be talking about mobility. And enterprise mobility, what's really interesting and what I'm seeing as an analyst in the market now is that mobility is not just a standalone trend. It's being impacted by all kinds of things. Companies today in 2013 are widely researching the impact of social media and social networking on their business. There's also drivers, the drive for the real-time enterprise. Mobility is becoming ubiquitous. Bring your own device trends are out there in just about every company that I talk to today. All of these different trends are impacting what needs to be done in the enterprise today, and especially how to implement the right strategy around mobility. You know, there's been a number of shifts in this. I think it's important for us just to kind of see where we are in this shift. Back in the 60s, we started in the mainframe era, where people had the enterprise-level machines. But through the late 70s and through the 90s, people started getting mini computers and divisional machines. And then it moved into the desktop, distributed PC era, where everyone started putting desktops on their desk. But today, we're in a new world. We're in a new world where desktops are, in fact, tablets, laptops, smartphones. And with the advent of the smartphones and the always connected world that we live in today, if we look at what we actually do with our smartphones, we're doing social activities, we're doing mobile communication, mobile texting, mobile commerce, mobile banking, all those kinds of things. And the applications we're connecting to are using analytics, from everything from news to weather to stock reports, trading activities. Everything that we're doing has analytic engines behind it. And you know what? Probably 99% of what we're connecting to on our smartphones resides in the cloud today. These are the kinds of trends that we live in, that surround us, and we live in today. So we add those trends to the new reality of the world, which is there's a new kind of worker entering the workforce, the millennials. These are the young workforce that has grown up always connected, always able to collaborate and organize events and activities using a smartphone, whether it be text message or different social networking sites. This is a workforce that has those same levels of expectation when they enter the workforce as well. And if they're used to open, instantaneous communication in their personal lives, they bring those same expectations again into the workforce. There's new technologies, of course, around mobile, around cloud computing, where if they want to collaborate on a site, they can jump right to Google Sites for free. Create a collaboration site in seconds or even minutes in which large groups can share information. They have Dropbox, they have Box, they have all these technologies that reside in the cloud that allow for collaboration and organization. And again, the millennials and us that even aren't millennials but are experienced in this area have grown to expect. There's the virtualization trend. I'm calling from and participating in this webinar today from Boise, Idaho. I think the folks on this call are from all different corners of the world. We can work that way. We are always connected through mobile technologies and the internet, and utilizing WebEx, a cloud-based offering. There's the trend of globalization, the recognition that business does not stop at the border. We can call instantaneously to any location in the world. I just returned over the last 12 weeks. I've spent time in about 8 different countries. I communicate with the people I met and plan and organize those trips and my presentations in my enterprise mobility workshops, all from various locations around the world. Again, we've grown to expect the ability to have instant communication and our tools on mobile devices anytime, anywhere. And what all those trends are introducing to us is, in fact, new ways of selling our products and services, new business models that take advantage of connectivity, mobility, cloud, analytics, and social tools. There's new ways of managing our mobile workforces. There are new ways of collaborating through collaboration platforms and social enterprise, and all these companies that are becoming the social business. They're looking at all components of their business, talking about how can we collaborate better from remote locations. There's new ways of making decisions because we can instantly communicate. We can share text information. We can jump on Chatter and organize a collaboration site so we can all share ideas and innovations. There's new ways of making decisions, new ways of engaging customers using mobile devices. There's new ways of working with products when we think about the Internet of Things, always connected, machine to machine, where you can reach out with your smartphone and ask and unlock your car, or take a look at your home security system, or adjust your temperature, or in fact, operate large plants from a distance using a tablet. All these things are emerging around us now. So that introduces us to new markets and new growth strategies, all because of the role mobility plays in all of these additional trends that are wrapped around us today. Here's a recent quote from Gartner's Managing Vice President, Chris Howard. Organizations need to absorb the ways that their employees and consumers want to work and then build systems to support those. And what are those ways that consumers and employees are working today? They always have access to location data. They know where they are at through maps, through turn-by-turn navigation. They can see where their friends are. They can see where stores are. They can see where just about anything they want to do is located. They can interact with friends in real time from anywhere in the world. They can comment on data. They can like it or dislike it, thumbs up, thumbs down. They can be polled. They have real-time data access to just about any kind of information they want on a company or a person. They can collaborate with people around the world, access online services, upload and tag images that you've taken on your smartphones or tablets or anything else. You can access data from anywhere in the world. You can access new kinds of apps that you think will add value to your business. You have real-time video access as well. So all of these things are what our employees do and expect, and our consumers do and expect. And our challenge as the enterprise and representing our business interests is how can we then recognize these trends and bring those into all parts of our business today. Gartner, in the last month, published their top 10 2013 strategic tech trends. And I found this very interesting to me. The first two, the mobile device battles, which mobile devices are going to lead in which category of users. And we can look at that from the iPad full size or the iPad minis and the touch books and Galaxies and notebooks, all these kinds of things, really cool stuff too. But number two mobile trend in the Gartner's top 10 strategic tech trends is mobile apps and HTML5. What apps, what should be a native app? What's the best fit for an HTML5 app? What is the best fit for a hybrid of HTML5? What development tools and skills are needed? All these things are the number two top 10 trends by Gartner. Then there's the number three is listed as the personal cloud. Again, it's a direct connection to the smartphone. How many of us use Dropbox or Box or Evernote or even iTunes and iCloud, all these things that keep our personal information and our business information in the cloud so we can access it from any devices. Number four, the Internet of Things. You know, the Internet of Things is really referencing the ability to have millions of sensors around the world all inputting data wirelessly to a central server. Now, you can consider actually smartphones as sensors as well. They can tell you location, they can tell you job status, they can tell you customer issues. All of that is something that's very important and can be done. Number 5, hybrid IT and iCloud. Again, this is talking about the use of all these things, and you can look at just about every one of these and say these support the trend around mobility. So it's just a really interesting. The other component I wanted to add of input from Gartner is that they are really talking up this idea of the nexus of forces. What do they mean? They say there's 4 forces that are working in combination with each other that are changing the world that we live in. That's social, mobile, information, and cloud. Each of these can be looked at as an independent silo, but it's when the 4 of these are all on your smartphone that big changes happen. And it's those 4 working together, this nexus of forces, in which we really need to pay attention to because they're going to have big impacts on what we need to do from a mobile strategy perspective. I reference to this almost as a tsunami of change, this social, mobile, analytics, and cloud. It's happening, whether it is included in our 3-year plan or not, or our 3-year budget or not. So many companies that I've been spending time with recently say, you know what, this year in 2013, we're going to try a few HR mobility apps. We're going to look at a couple other things. We're going to start prioritizing what we think we're going to be needing. But what I'm going to share with those companies and what I do every day when I talk to them is that the real challenge in front of us is the challenge of acting strategically enough to matter. There are entire industries that are being turned upside down because of mobility. In December, I met with 2 of New Zealand's 4 largest banks. And both of those banks asked me the question. They said, Kevin, how should we respond to these emerging mobile-only banks? These banks don't have 40-year-old back-end systems and mainframes to support that offer a limited set of functionality with limited sets of APIs. They said, how do we compete with a company that has everything new, that's all virtual, that all they have as a retail outlet is a mobile app? How do we compete with that? These are examples how things can completely change. We look at the way we get our media, our streaming media now, how Netflix has won in the battle with Blockbuster, how e-books have won in the battle between the emerging e-book world and the brick-and-mortar bookstores. These are things that are changing. So my question to all the companies that I meet with is, are you acting strategically enough to matter? In this example here of the elephants charging, if you took 1 step back or you took 1 step to the left or 1 step to the right, is that really going to matter? Probably not. You're going to get run over no matter what. Your challenge is to say, what do I need to do, recognizing these giant trends and what's happening all around me and my employees and my customers and my partners? What can I do to act strategically enough to matter around mobility in particular? It used to be, I would say, 3-4 years ago, one of the biggest questions companies would ask me is, let's talk about ROIs. Let's talk about where there's a good ROI around mobility. You know what? I don't hear that anymore. Companies are convinced that mobility is going to have an impact on their business. They're still looking for ROIs, but they're really about, should I use HTML5? Should I use native? Should I use a HTML5 hybrid? How should I deliver these apps? They are absolutely convinced there is an ROI for mobility because this tsunami of change is happening. And it's interesting because I talk to them, I say, you know what, here's an excerpt that I read recently from an article called Can Social Media Sell Soap? And I just thought the quote is very impactful. The impact of new technologies is invariably misjudged because we measure the future with yardsticks from the past. I look at that and say, you know what? Companies that are saying, should I mobilize, yes or no, are missing the point. They have to. They need to be measuring the results what's going to happen to their business if they don't mobilize. So you need to look at when a technology trend is acting like a tsunami and it's going to happen whether you want it to or not, you need to be looking at different ways of measuring the ROI. So mobility is about the real-time enterprise. It's about having situational awareness about your mobile workforce, about your customers, about your supply chain, about your transportation systems, about your warehouses, about your managers, about decision-making, and doing that data-driven with speed, collaborating, and making sure you're getting the right data to the right people at the right time, on the right device, in the right amount of information as well. We look at today, there's this idea of the social business, which is really becoming the talking point of 2013 as we see it early on. What we're recognizing is that mobile devices enabling social collaboration change the way operations happen. If you look on the left side of the screen here, you see a typical org chart with a hierarchical structure here. But one of the challenges you have is with the flow of ideas and innovation. If those ideas and innovations come from the person at the bottom of that org chart, every one of the people that they report to up that hierarchy becomes a communication barrier because there's politics involved. They have their own priorities, their own agendas. They have their own time constraints. Sometimes they're just lazy and they don't consolidate or communicate your ideas up the hierarchy like they should. So there's a lot of obstacles to the free flow of information that happens in a traditional environment. That's a one-to-one communication handoff. On the right side, we look at what's involved with social collaboration. When the enterprise starts aggregating everybody into discussion groups around specific topics, suddenly you have a one-to-many kind of communication. One person, no matter where they are in the organization, can share their ideas publicly within that collaboration group. Their ideas are then shared with the entire group. They're archived, and that person with that idea not only gets credit, but they're held accountable to the views that they presented there. That means you've avoided all those communication barriers to the free flow of new ideas and innovations. It really changes the way businesses happen. And businesses wouldn't be able to support that environment without everyone being connected through tablets, through laptops, through smartphones, because the people they want involved in those collaboration discussions are located all around the world. But if you focus not around a region, but you focus around a topic, you want everybody's views from what they see. It's a whole different way of doing business, supported by mobility. And I'm going to pause here just for a moment and say, why am I talking about all these kind of related trends when we're focused on mobility? It's important because this emphasizes our need to deliver many, many different kinds of mobile applications rapidly. Applications that are flexible, because we never know in advance really what we're going to have to support. We need to be able to create mobile apps that are low cost and we can do it quickly, that are future-proof. Often they will reside in the cloud, and the role that HTML5 is playing is an increasingly important role because of the ability to distribute apps very quickly and create apps very quickly that have a very low total cost of ownership. How important is mobility? I asked 120 companies this question, and they responded. 1% said it's not important to their business. 9% said it's somewhat important. 47% said it's very important. 43% said it's critical to their company's future success. If you add the very important category to the critical, you see 90% of the companies, of those 120 companies that responded to that survey, that is very important and critical for their company's future success. So given that importance, I want to share with you a recent discussion that my team had with an automotive dealership. I found this fascinating. By all measures, you would have to say this local dealership should be considered a small to medium-sized business. But these are the discussions that we sat down and had with them and the ideas that the dealership had. The dealership, the automotive dealership, they wanted dealer dashboards. These are like iPad apps where they could see the supply, they could do supply chain management on their iPads. They knew where their cars were in the production lines. They wanted to know where my inventory of cars are. If I have 6 different lots around the city, what inventory do I have on what lot? They wanted vendor and supplier management data. They wanted to be able to attract new customers by having powerful mobile apps that allowed their prospects and customers to do product searches and comparisons of vehicles, to locate stores, to be able to talk to people, chat, rate, and review different products all online. When their prospects or customers would come into their sales environment, they wanted to be able to hand them an iPad and say, you know what, let's look at the vehicle feature presentations. Here's your loan calculations. Here's the ability, let's look at our options for customizing and reviewing a building or a vehicle. Let's look at best deals that we can put together. Once the transaction is done, the sale is closed, they wanted these post-purchase mobility apps. How do you find your car in a city? Where did you park so you can locate your car's location? They wanted to be able to have their maintenance manuals, their e-manuals, to do customer support and feedback all online. They wanted to be able to have an online record of vehicle maintenance and performance and offer deals on tires, brakes, oil changes, detail, all those kinds of things. So let's just look at this for a moment. This is a small business. Even in this small business, they can revolutionize the way they conduct and operate their business by installing and implementing mobile applications. This just gives us a tip of the iceberg on the huge change that mobility can bring even to a small business. Some of those underlying driving interests that companies have, and the reason why they talk to us often about mobile strategies, is they're looking for ways to increase their operational tempo, the tempo in which they do business. I've had the privilege of teaching mobile strategies workshops in 12 different countries over the last 18 months. And every time I give a mobile strategy workshop, one of the first questions I ask the people in the room are, what operational tempo are you working at today? And what operational tempo do you want to support tomorrow? Why is that important? So many companies are still working on the residuals of a paper-based system. They're looking for increasing it to real-time, where they can get real-time, they have real-time information on where their workforce is, the job status, the physical location, so they know how they can do least cost routing or route the right person to the right place based on their location to reduce fuel consumption and wasted time. They want to be able to do more in less time. Again, the operational tempo. The study of operational tempo is called chronostrategy, time strategy, if you would. There's another underlying movement out there. The world is becoming a much smaller place. The word for that is time-space compression. If you can think about 100 years ago how long it would take to communicate with somebody on the other side of the world, it could be weeks or months after you've sent a letter to arrive somewhere and then get a response back. The world was a vast and large place. Communication was long and difficult. The world is not like that anymore. The impact of connectivity, real-time communications, and mobility is that you can start doing things instantaneous with a lot of data to know how to make the right decisions. So you have real-time communications, transportation. You can deliver a package nearly anywhere in the world, if not overnight, within 3 days. Your business can be totally, completely global with communication, your suppliers, your contractors, your developers. They can be anywhere in the world. The world is a much smaller place today thanks to mobility. And the importance to recognize is the time-space compression event that's going around us, the trend. We just need to understand how this is impacting our business and the important role mobility plays in that. Because now we can view information in operations at a distance and have the ability to act instantaneously from afar. So these are the kinds of things mobility is adding to us. And I want to just emphasize a few things here. That changes the competitive landscape. When a company recognizes these trends and builds that into their business strategy and their future direction, they're going to be so far ahead of their competition that has yet to recognize that. In the modern Western militaries, they have even added a whole new category of warfare. It used to be that the militaries, the Western militaries, were focused on 4 areas in which they have to have defensive and offensive responsibilities. The ability to dominate on land, sea, air, and space. Today, there's a 5th dimension. It's called information. It's the ability to communicate better, faster, and more secure than your opponent, and to reduce your opponent's ability to communicate effectively. So communication has now become one of the driving areas of competitive, of competition worldwide, even in the military environments. But the same thing is true in the commercial sector, where the competitive advantages are going to be around companies that have a better information logistics system, the ability to collect data on mobile devices and end-to-end sensors in the field, bring that data in securely, analyze that, and then report back to the decision makers so they can make real-time data-driven decisions. The organizations that are able to better use their logistics of information will have the upper hand going forward. It's not just about physical logistics, it's information logistics today. And that is enabled through the real-time connectivity of wireless and mobile devices. It's not just about, when we talk about what companies are doing today, there's a term called network-centric operations. The notion there is that everything that can possibly be connected to the network should be connected to the network. So you can know where your equipment is and what the job status, what the maintenance status is, what job are they on, how are they being billed, who's driving it, what are the repair requirements for it, what mobile apps do you need to operate each of those better and more efficiently and optimize it. Then integrating all of those components that are plugged into the network back into your ERP so they can be used with business analytics to run an optimal operations. You have your enterprise collaboration apps to discuss the best use of these things. Mobile business intelligence. You have your assets and buildings are all geotagged so you can use reference to time and space when you make decisions on maintenance and repair and the assignment of resources to each of those facilities or projects. GPS tracking. All of this is designed to support a real-time decision-making environment. And again, mobility plays that role in there because it's not just about mobilizing a smartphone, it's about mobilizing everything. And many of us have heard the term out there, the Internet of Things, where all these things are connected to the Internet. Once you have connectivity to those things on the Internet, you can start building algorithms that will optimize the use of those. Because when things are connected, you can start looking at where are my people, what are the status of the jobs they're working on, what are their skills and qualifications and experience levels, what equipment do they have with them and may need for the next job, who are my available vendors and where are they located, what locations are my jobs, what are the schedules that I need for each of these things, where are the parts I may need, the transportation of those parts, where are my available contractors. If you don't have visibility, you don't have situational awareness. You are then suffering under the fog of war, as they described in the military. But if you have those items connected to the Internet and those are then enabled on mobile devices, you then have the ability to use all that data to make better decisions going forward. Social collaboration. rather than having everybody drive through heavy traffic to come to an office to sit in the room and look at each other, you have the ability to access the knowledge of your experts from anywhere in the world and all join together on collaborative websites and collaborative platforms to make better decisions in which the participants are your most knowledgeable people, again, no matter where they are around the world. These kinds of environments in the social platform are only possible with the advent of more and more mobile apps. So it's not about one app or two apps or three apps. What I'm hearing when I talk to customers today is they want to combine all kinds, an unlimited number of back-end systems all together to make unique value propositions and provide a competitive advantage. They want enterprise asset management connected to GPS tracking, connected to their field service and service ticket systems, connected to their machine-to-machine environment so they can access information from their assets anywhere in the world. They then want to connect that to their dynamic scheduling app so they can optimize the scheduling of work around these things. They want that, of course, to be connected to sales, so the sales force has visibility into work being done on a particular customer prospect. You want customer service also to be connected. You want your human capital management systems integrated as well, so when you see you have a person in a particular region that's capable of doing work, you can see if they're qualified with the right certifications, etc. I won't continue. You get the message. There's all kinds of combinations that people want on a mobile device today. So there's an unlimited number of mobile apps that are in demand now in leading-edge companies that are wanting to employ best practices and take advantage of what's possible out there. So with all this stuff we're looking at here, I asked the question in a recent survey of, again, it was the same 120 companies, are you re-engineering what you do at the business process level to take advantage of mobility? 5% said, no, we're not. 27% said we're making a few changes. 48% said they're making many changes in the business to take advantage of mobile technologies. 20% said they're going to revolutionize their business through the implementation of mobility. Mobility is going to be a big deal. And mobility is not, again, just about taking care of there's a lot of different components, I guess is a better way of saying it. You need to look at mobility from the terms of social, mobile, analytics, and cloud as a company. How do I then interface with my customers and give them a mobile tool or a mobile app with social support that has back-end analytics to help them see their own account information, customer service information, response times, compliance to service level agreements, and offer that very quickly, which is oftentimes putting that into a cloud. So you need to think about how do you interface with customers, how do you interface with your assets and products using these technologies, how do you access with your partner world, your supply chain and your contractors, and then how also do you use all these notions of social, mobile, analytics, and cloud to better support and interface with your employees. These are the kinds of things we all need to be pondering. So in wrapping up here, I'm going to just emphasize a number of key points here. SMAC, social, mobile, analytics, and cloud is all around us. We need to know what our strategy is, how our competitors are using that strategy, how it's going to change our industry, market, and individual businesses. We need to look at the new employee, consumer, and partner behaviors coming up to the young millennials. Number 3, there's an endless number of mobile devices out there. We are going to need to look at all the apps, all the devices, and say, how do I support these 4 interfaces that we just talked about on all these different devices here? Some of these may be native, some of them may be HTML5, some of them may be HTML hybrids, but we need to be talking to the experts like we have here on the call today. There's a demand for real-time visibility, accountability, and monitoring, and that's all supported by mobility. There's a demand for connectivity to multiple back-end systems at any time. There's a demand for real-time business intelligence and data decision support. There's a demand for location, business, and context-aware solutions. I hear about that all the time. People want to collaborate in real time with their knowledge workers. They want to be able to, they're starting to look at ways to re-engineer their business processes to take advantage of these trends and technologies. They want their data not to be found in individual silos, but unified so you can be making decisions on the full picture. You have complete situational awareness because you've unified the data and you can make sense of it. There's a demand for the networked field operations that we just spoke about earlier. And you're really starting to hear this trend toward mobile first, where companies, when they need a new application or adding a new business process, they say, you know what, the majority of our users are in fact going to be using mobile phones or smartphones. As a result of that, we should probably develop this first for the mobile environment, second to any kind of desktop requirements. And that's how they're prioritizing that. With that, I want to thank Unvired so much for inviting me today, and I'm going to hand this back over to Anoop. Thank you very much.